Good morning. This morning's session we're going to talk about cotton petiole analysis. It's a little different to the process for doing an interpretation for other lab results, in that we don't use the normal interpretation wizard, but I'll take you through that. So to begin with, the ordering process and the importing of the samples is very much the same. So orders are put into the order area, and when it comes to importing the lab results, we import them as we would any other result. Once the lab tests have been brought into the software, then we're ready to do the cotton petiole analysis, and where that exists is under the data import export. What we're doing with cotton petioles is not actually interpreting them as we would for a nutrient. We're going to graph them and look at the rate of decline of nutrient in the cotton over time, which give us an idea of whether the nitrogen's adequate to get the crop to the end of the season. So we do this in the data import export area. If we click on that, you'll see it brings up the screen. We've got data export for trend analysis and benchmark, place to put other fertilizer products and so on. But if you see the little down arrow here, if you click on it, we've got the cotton petiole report. So what we do is we click on that, and it'll bring up a listing of the customer names and paddocks and wherever the data has been saved to. One of the things you need to do is to make sure right up front that we actually select the date range correctly, and these are, I'm going to demonstrate some from the previous year, so I'm just going to set this up so we go back a couple of years just to make sure we capture the date range. What you'll find is if you don't have the right date range, you won't see the data, and that can be a little bit frustrating. So I'll go down and I'll find the particular enterprise that I've set this up for, and I'll tick the paddock that the actual data is resident within. So I'll go next, and you can see I can type in a met station. It might be Moree, and any other comments. These are the barcodes that are available for that site. Now initially, the first one you put in, it will show up as just the barcode, the product, the sample date, and you'll need to type in the actual number of day degrees. I've done a report on this one previously, and it's accumulated all of the day degrees that have been put in there. So when initially it will not have day degrees in there, and you'll need to look that up for that met station for the date that it was actually sampled and input the day degrees. As you go through the season and you actually put in more samples at different day degrees, it will accumulate the samples across that period. You don't have to re-input those, and all you have to do is put the day degrees in the new sample that shows up at the second time you run the report. So once I've got those in there, I can click next, and the other thing I can put in there is whether it's dry land or irrigated. And secondly, if there's been a side dressing during the period that the sampling's taken place. So in this case, I've put in there was a side dressing of 50 kilograms of nitrogen at 650 day degrees. That will show up on the graph, and you'll be able to see whether the plant has responded to that in the plant tissue. So I finish, and what this is going to do is export the data to Excel. And we export it to Excel because the graphic capabilities within Excel are a lot easier to handle than they would be within the software. So it created an Excel report, and it's asking me to save it. One of the best places to do is somewhere you can actually find it again, and give it a name, and that may be the desktop, but I've called this one Cotton Petiole, and I'm going to save it. So I've saved that. It'll go through a process telling you, do I want to, in this case I've saved it before, do I want to replace it, but it will tell you that it's actually finished the job. It's saved that out into that desktop, and the report's been exported successfully. So I just click on that OK and go and locate the file that's been saved to the desktop, and I'll just double click on it, and it will start up a session of Excel. One of the things that is common when we go through this process is for it to ask this question, is the file format, the file could be corrupt or unsafe. You want to open it anyway. It's not that it's corrupt or unsafe. As you can see, it automatically generates the graph on the first page for nitrogen. It's put in the data. You can notice up here is where the 50 kilograms of N's been applied, and each of the points across the season that samples have been taken. It has fitted a trend line. And the significance of this is we want to keep the trend line within the satisfactory range, indicating that the nitrogen supply is likely to get to the end of the season in the satisfactory range. There's also some comments down here that the status is the concentration is decreasing, but the comment says it's at a satisfactory rate, that we probably will reach the end of the season with the nitrogen supply being adequate. Where potassium and phosphorus have been measured, you also have another report. So in the petioles you can actually measure phosphorus and potassium, and you can see what we've done is you've repeated the report here for the nitrogen, but you've got a tabular view in here, as well as if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that the phosphorus and the potassium graphs are also there available for reporting. So, if you want to prepare a report, it's just a matter of preparing a print preview and putting in some comments, and you can see the type of data that will be printed out. So it's automatically formatted to produce a report for either, in this case, nitrate, phosphorus and potassium, or in the previous view, just a singular nitrogen report.